Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila with your host, Kristen Olson. Questioning a better way, one gracefully disruptive conversation at a time.
Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila. I am so excited today. We have lacrosse fam in the house. This is an international podcast. I am welcoming Alex Whitworth to the TNT mic. She's a mother of 5. She's an entrepreneur. She's currently in the U.S. Virgin Islands in St. Croix. Alex, what's going on?
Yeah, so we're not technically international. I'm still.
Oh, you're
US.
not?
No,
I'm
US
such an American. Oh, you're right.
Could,
yeah, I even said it. I'm fired.
I could quickly hop over to the British Virgin Islands, but we're US. So we're like not quite international, but kind of.
Okay, so they're kind of international. I'm not going to edit any of that, just so the universe knows how good I am at my geography.
For shipping purposes, everyone thinks we're international. Like I couldn't keep certain things the same as from the States. So let's just go.
Okay. Well, we'll go with far away.
Yes.
But we played lacrosse together. We only played together for 1 year though, right?
Yeah, I think it was your 5th year and I was a freshman.
Okay, super senior year. Oh my God. So I was super focused that year.
Yes.
Obviously, medical red shirt, was super ready to be done in 4, but we extended it to 5 and that was the whole thing. But we got to play lacrosse together. And then we've kept in touch. And Alex has this super incredible story. She took a leap of faith with her husband and moved to the U.S. Virgin Islands, which is not international, but still far away, and has 5 kids and maintained her business while she moved. So we're going to unpack all that. Alex, why don't you give us a little background on your upbringing, like how you grew up as a kiddo and kind of what led you to right now?
Okay. Well, I'm from Northern Virginia, born and raised, went, all through school. So even college, we went to George Mason in Fairfax, Virginia. So I just had, it was a normal, happy childhood. I'm one of 4 kids. My parents were super involved. They came to every activity, every lacrosse game, whether it was at Mason, they went to the away games. So just a really happy childhood, safe, comfortable, kind of easy, and that's kind of where this will go today, where I just felt everything was easy. Like, after high school, I was recruited at Mason, which was right down the street. It was easy. I did it, then became a teacher right after. I stayed a 5th year as well, got my master's, and then became a teacher. And that job just kind of fell in my lap. And then I got married and then I had a kid right away. Like everything was just kind of easy for me. I feel very, very lucky. And so then here came this opportunity to totally get outside of our comfort level. But yeah,
okay. So you've got.
I totally jumped into it right there.
Yeah, no, that was perfect. I love it. And I usually get when I tell people this, because I always like to hear the human behind the business. I always think it like really prefaces the audience because the business and all, like the journey is good, but if you hear the background, people like things really come together. But you have 1 sibling, right?
No, I'm one of 4. So I have 3.
Oh, you're one of 4
2 brothers and 1 sister. Yeah.
Are you the oldest?
No, I'm the second, but we're all very close in age.
Okay. Because I was wondering, because I'm one of 4 and I was like, kids, that was a lot growing up. There's boys everywhere and it's a thing. You had like the opposite reaction and now have 5 kids. Was that kind of part of it? You liked the big family and the whole thing?
I did. And, even before, like, I was going to talk to you today, I was thinking like, what are we going to talk about? Will we talk about my childhood? And I think like that had a big impact on me wanting a lot of kids.
Okay.
It was 4 of us. We were close in age. I loved just having tons of friends around, whether it was my older brother's friends, my younger brother's friends, like everyone was kind of a group. We did flashlight tag with a group of 20 kids or air hockey, all these things. I just loved it. And I always wanted 4 kids. I think I just loved my childhood and how my life was, that I thought, oh, I want the same thing. And my mom was a teacher, so I became a teacher. I thought it was great how she worked hard and then had the summers off with us. So I just kind of followed in her footsteps because I liked how things were. So
I like that. I think when things are easy, you're in alignment. I don't think my process, well, I know for like Mason coming from Colorado, like trying to get recruited, it was much more of an in-depth process, but that process really prepared me for like my marketing and branding career. And kind of, it was almost like the exact same thing. I was like trying to be an influencer before influencers were a thing in lacrosse, and Virginia, East Coast was like, we don't care about Colorado lacrosse. And I don't blame them, because back then it was not a thing.
Right.
It is now, and it's competitive, but like that
Yes.
kind of led me up. But do you feel like you were kind of naturally in alignment as a kid, or like, did you not fight the process as much, or like, what do you think that flow was from?
I think, yeah, I think it's just that everything kind of, I mean, I worked hard, don't get me wrong. Like, I studied really hard. I took school really seriously, with my mom being a teacher. So I got good grades. And yeah, like you said, it just kind of fell in my lap because George Mason was, 5 minutes from my high school. So the coaches could come to our games and it was easy. The recruitment process was easy for me. And I just thought, you know what, sure, I'll just do this. I've never really been someone that, like, I didn't have a wedding binder that I like really wanted, or growing up, there wasn't one school that I really wanted to go to. I was just kind of happy to do
Just kind of
whatever,
open.
Yeah, I was just kind of open. So I just thought, you know what? Yeah, Mason is great. And I'm so happy that I did. And then again, just because my path was there and I got the teaching job, we stayed in Northern Virginia. There was never a reason to leave. My family was all there. So yeah, I just kind of like stayed on this straight path, and it worked.
Yeah.
I have no regrets about
Yeah.
that, even though I would see other people, going to new cities or going, I had friends from high school going to these cool colleges and places I had never been, but I didn't feel like I needed to do that.
I love it. Well, I think most of my varsity humans, we're going to like try, like we have something set in our mind, and then we're going to work harder or try more, read more, or train more, or do something. And I think there's real value in what you're saying of sometimes, and I do think it's a lot of personality, but of just letting go and just kind of going with it. And I think that's really hard. I don't think in society we're taught that. It's like study more, do your thing. But I think if you can just find some space of contentment and then just keep showing up, I think there is less resistance in that process. I was not that person. Like I certainly did not have the wedding binder. My mom even talked about like a hope chest, and she actually was like, you will never have one of those. Like, that's not going to be your thing. Like, I was kind of taught that from the get go. Not that it was bad, but she's like, I want you to do your thing. I want you to go to college.
Yeah.
And my mom dreamt of being a wife and having kids. So anyways, it's funny how I think you can have goals and dreams, but I think there's also such beauty in like being in contentment and then going with the process, and that resistance can be so hard. And sometimes the more we resist, the harder it is. And I think I was kind of more one of those.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just a very easygoing person.
Yeah.
Things don't really bother me. So yeah, I was just kind of happy how things were. And so I just kind of kept chugging along on that straight path.
I love it. Well, and even if you're laid back, 5 humans, did you guys have all 5 kids before you made the big move?
We did. Yeah. So the youngest had just turned 1.
Okay. So there's no way, even if you're laid back and chill, 5 humans in your house is out of control. I grew up with 4 and it was insane. And I think you have 3 girls and 2 boys.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's a lot of women. I mean, for my young females, but that's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of boys too, actually, too.
Yeah.
How is that going? I mean, I guess you came from team sports and everything, but how is it having 5 kids? Like, I want this for my young people that are considering kids, because even nowadays, kids are expensive. Not a lot of people have more than 2 kids. Tell us about this journey with the whole like petting zoo.
It is chaos, but it's controlled chaos. They're all of ours are very close in age. So they're all right about 18 months apart, the first 4. And then we thought we were done. I always wanted 4. And then I just kind of had this nagging feeling like, I don't know if this is it. So I convinced my husband to be open to it. And then it happened. So the 4 and 5 are about a little under 2.5 years apart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So a little bit bigger gap for the last 2, but they're really close in age. So it was very hard at the beginning, but now they kind of entertain themselves. And I mean, they're either best friends or worst enemies on any given day, but that still works somehow. It's either happy screams or bad screams, but again, I'm pretty laid back. So, and my husband and I balance each other pretty well. But I don't know, it's fun. I love it. It's, I'm really happy. So
I love it. Well, this is not the same, but I had one dog, got a second one because when she turned 5, I'm like, we got to keep the youth in the house. It's like dog equivalent to Botox. So I'm like, we'll get a puppy. And then, when I got my second one, she was a rescue and they're like, I think she's a German Shepherd. I was like, no way, she's tiny. She's a cattle dog, like 65%. And the energy is no joke. Like this dog is in it. So I'm like, I think I'm just going to get a third because Cleo, my oldest, doesn't care. And
Yeah.
Colette is literally going to dig a hole somewhere. Like she needs entertainment. So I got a third dog and I actually think it's easier with 3. So I don't know if it translates, but I
Yeah.
can see how like when you have the tribe and they can kind of play together and be a unit, it's easier than just like 1 or maybe even 2.
Yes, that is exactly how it is.
So maybe I'll get 2 more dogs just to match you dog to
You
human.
should. Yes. Let's see how that works out.
Yeah. I think the city will be like, there's this dog lady on the corner. You need to get her the hell out of here. Something's going on. That's amazing. Okay. So when you guys are kind of set up in Virginia, you live there forever, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden this opportunity comes for you guys to move to St. Croix. What was your initial response to that conversation?
I was, yes,
Immediately?
100%. Yeah. And
Okay.
so just a little bit of background. So it was for my husband's job and we knew for years. So we put our name on a list and kind of like as years go by and people leave or retire, they call up the next person on the list. So we had known for probably, our name had been on the list for 8 years.
For this location specifically?
Yeah, for the Virgin Islands.
Oh, okay.
And kind of crazy, you know, how I'm this like straight path person.
Yeah.
We got married, he had this job and he had the opportunity to put his name on a list. And we were like, okay, we're going to move from Virginia and we're going to try something. It'll be just the 2 of us. Cool adventure, newlyweds. And then I got pregnant, like very shortly after we were married. So then I was like, oh no, straight path. We got to stay here. It's the first grandchild. All of our family's here. So we decided to just not put our name. We put our name on the DC list so we could stay in DC.
Okay.
But then I was like, you know what, let's put our name on a list and down the road, if we get called up, we'll be really adventurous. And I think it was just like, I needed to tell myself we were adventurous, even though like our whole life we hadn't been, right? We were in Virginia, and he was the same. He lived in Germany for a little bit when he was little, but otherwise, you know, elementary, middle, high school in Northern Virginia as well. We didn't know each other, but we both, you know, had just lived there for a long time. And so this email like popped up not that long ago as, I don't know why, I was searching for something that he sent me, but he emailed me and said like, okay, babe, I put our name on the Virgin Islands list. In 8 years, if it pops up, what do you say? And I wrote right back, like, me and Ava, that's our oldest, who was 2 months at the time, like we'd go tomorrow if it came up.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding. 8 years, like almost to the month, we got the call.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we got the call and you basically have 24 hours to respond if you want to take it.
Okay.
And so we like knew our name was like getting up closer to the list and it could be a possibility. And at that time, you know, we had 4 kids and maybe I was pregnant with the 5th as we were getting closer up the list. And then we had the 5th and then we kept checking the list and we were pretty close up. And so then he got the call. And I was like, yep, let's do it. Sign up. We said we were going to do this. What the heck? Let's go. He is the opposite. He needed to see it in person. And we had done plenty of research. We had done our homework. We knew what we'd be getting into, but he still just needed to see it. So we booked a flight down that weekend, saw it, and then said yes.
Wow.
The next week, they gave us a little bit extra time. But yeah, and I think part of it, looking back, I definitely was a little nervous, but I was so excited to, I mean, for the first time really in my whole life, I was, 35 at this point. This would be the first big move, big something. And I remember being really nervous to ask my mom what she thought, because we were such a close-knit family and, you know, everyone's kind of in the Northern Virginia area. And she also went to George Mason and my dad did. And they were also from Northern Virginia area and had never moved. So I think like a part of me was like, she's just going to say like, no, like do the safe thing. But she said, yes, like you should go do this. Me and your dad never tried anything new. Yeah. So you go do it. And yeah. And so I was like, you know what, if she says it, like I am 110% now. Yeah. Yeah. So we said it. And then I remember so vividly, my parents came down to visit just like maybe a month after we had moved down here. And they both, even only being here for like a week, were like, you made the right decision. Yeah. Like, I'm so glad you guys did this. Yeah.
So what about like the logistics though, like schools and your business, which we'll talk about next? Like, cause there's so much, it's not just like location and people and culture, all big things, but it's like little logistics. I'm guessing you didn't even think of till you got down there.
Yeah, I will. I mean, I am one of those people, I will research the heck out of something. I will read up.
Okay.
I mean, we are watching like YouTube videos from like a hurricane that happened 5 or 6 years ago. We're just really trying to like figure everything out. And I joined all the Facebook groups. So Facebook's really big down here. Like all the parenting groups and the buy and sell your stuff groups. And I would, it's easy, you know, to hide behind a computer screen. So I would just message anybody in these groups like, hey, we're thinking about coming. We've got 5 kids. What can you tell me? And so I talked to so many people and I felt like I had such a good idea of what we were getting into because it's so much different than the States. Like
Okay.
so
Give us some
different.
examples.
I guess people think we live on an all-inclusive resort, you know, down here in the
Oh,
Caribbean. And
okay.
it's not, it's very raw. I mean, the roads are terrible. The hospital is terrible. I mean, if our kids would break an arm, we'd fly off island to go. I mean, it's just healthcare was a big, big concern for my husband. Not that we have any health issues. He needed to be the worrywart, you know, since I
Yeah.
was so like, let's go. Just like things that ruin quickly with the salt air, you know, there's house maintenance stuff, your cars are going to go to crap. Like, you know, it's so different than what we are used to. But
Okay.
logistically, I mean, we were thankful his work did the move for us. So it's kind of like a military move where they do, you know, they pack
They do
everything up.
everything.
So even the packing, you know, which would have been a nightmare with all of our
Yeah.
stuff. But we knew we'd be downsizing coming down here. So we got rid of a lot of stuff, which is a nice purging feeling. And that's, I think, another big difference living here. Life is just simple.
Yeah.
It's hard to, you know, get things shipped down here. So you just don't buy it.
Yeah.
You know, so we just have a lot less stuff. And I don't know. I really like this. And I think it's like taught me for when we do move back to the States, like, oh wow, remember that time where like we didn't need to buy all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
That's interesting. So you do think you will for sure come back?
I think so.
Okay.
We thought it was kind of like a 3-year thing, which it's not, it's open-ended. And we've actually come this January will be 3 years. So it's almost been,
Wow.
yeah, it's gone by real quick. I don't know. It's hard to say. We love it
Yeah.
here. So we're kind of like, we don't have a reason to leave.
Yeah. Do you think you could go back like with the things, no ocean? Like, don't you think you'd miss some of this stuff?
Yes. And I mean, my husband's already said we have to live near water. Like
Yeah.
we've been so spoiled with that. I mean, we miss family. That's like the big thing. We were so close, you know, to everybody. We've had visitors. So yeah, I don't know what our future holds as far as timing, but we have no intention on leaving, you know, anytime soon. So
Yeah. Well, so being from Colorado going to Mason, it was so hard, like booking flights. And for the most part back then, everybody was local. And like there was just so much, it was so much harder for me being away, but it was literally the best thing I ever did was just like leaving home. And not because it was bad or good. It was just like you get away and you're kind of on your own and you really figure out like your own core values, like your own political stance.
yes.
Like, I mean, you remember me in college, you weren't having like that deep a thought. We cared about lacrosse and Whitney Houston, and two of those
Yes.
things, one of those things is still true. But it was just good to get away. Do you feel like you gained some like personal independence being far away?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just been really cool to see that me and my husband, like we've done this, right?
Yeah.
By ourselves with our 5 kids without, you know, we definitely were able to lean on our family members with, you know, we didn't ever need to get a babysitter when we were back in Virginia. Now we have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, if someone is sick, if I had the flu, you know, my mom or someone could come over and help me with the kids, where here it's you really lean on friends, right? Like
Yeah.
that's your friends become your family here, which for you, same thing, right? When you came to college, like your friend group, like that's
Yeah.
your family real fast. So you get to
Yeah.
know people real fast, real hard, you know? So, I don't know, I just feel really proud of the way that we've been able to kind of transition. And it's been a good feeling that I've done other things that were hard and I'm proud of myself, but this was like the biggest.
For sure. I mean, you're far away. Like it's international or national, whatever, however it's titled. You're not close. Like it's not a quick flight home. It's not a quick process home. That's kind of how it felt for me and Mason being far away. Like it's not, and you have like, do you have to do customs and everything?
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, you got to do all this extra stuff. And even if you're a phone call away, there's a time I don't know, there's lots that's just like details that people forget. And I remember it was so good for me to be away, but it was like, oh, for a minute there, it was like almost like an emptiness because I'm like, I am out here until I had like my group and my core. And I was so glad that I had my team. Like I had immediate like-minded friends.
Yeah.
But for my kiddos, like I have a friend now that she left Taiwan and got recruited to Juilliard. And as a young person came to a different country. And I tell her all the time, like, I'm so impressed now at 40. Like I still think about my young days, like for you to do that's a big deal. So even as you get older, it's a big deal to leave the nest
Right.
and know that you're isolated.
Yeah, and because you get so comfortable, right?
Yes.
At you know, so comfortable at 35 that like why would I move? But yeah, I'm really glad that we did it. And it's far and it's expensive, you know, to travel with. We now are a 7-ticket flight family.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah. And then this is kind of an interesting thing. So we don't do daylight savings time here. So I know I'm 2 hours behind you, but when you guys fall back, right, in the fall, so like all my family members on the East Coast, they'll be an hour, I guess, behind us for half the year.
Okay.
And then for half the year, we're the same.
That's annoying.
It's really annoying. Yeah, it's like these little island things that you're like so grateful to live here and it's beautiful. And then you're like, why the heck are we an hour behind for only half the year? And
they need to get rid of daylight savings, but we'll save that for another podcast. Okay. So in the midst of this, tell us about the business. When did you start it? Because I didn't even know, were you a baker in college? Did you make things? Did I ever forget that?
No.
Oh, okay. So tell us,
I love to bake and, my mom would like make desserts and I loved them. We'd do Christmas cookies, but again, it was just kind of something that fell into my lap. So I was a teacher. And then when I had my first, I retired, as my husband says, I retired from teaching at 26.
Yes, you made it far.
after a long career. But I just knew I wanted to stay home because again, that's what my mom did. She had us and then she went back to work when the youngest was in kindergarten. So that was always my plan. And I had the first and I loved it, but I am like a busybody. I need something to do. So I was still kind of doing like tutoring and doing some other little things just here and there to get out of the house and to like stay busy. And then it was my oldest daughter's second birthday. And that's, I think, when like Pinterest really exploded.
We're so young.
Just sitting at home, looking at Pinterest, drooling over like what my wedding could have been like if I had a binder.
Damn it. We should have made binders.
But so I saw these really cute decorated cookies. So I emailed this woman in our area asking if I could get decorated cookies for my daughter's birthday. And I asked her like a week before and she was totally booked. I remember thinking like, oh, really? Like, all right, well, I'm going to do it myself. Yes. So I tried and I mean, I wish I had pictures of my very first ones. They were terrible. But then I practiced because when I want to do something, I research like crazy and I watch YouTube videos and I'm reading and I'm practicing. So come her birthday, they were like fine for someone who had never really done it before. But I posted some pictures and then a friend saw them and said her sister was having a bridal shower. Could I make some cookies? And honestly, it was just kind of word of mouth from there. And I had no idea what I was doing business-wise, but I just kind of started.
Yeah. You do the LLC, you do the bank account. Cause there's the skill. So the cookie business, it's the Cookie Momster, right?
Yes.
Okay. She does custom cookies. They're absolutely gorgeous. And she's really nailed the social media. We'll talk about that. It's like soothing. Even if you don't like cookies or whatever, watching them being made is so relaxing. And it's kind of fun to see it come together. But you put them together, so you do the business, you got to do the skill with the business, and learning that as an entrepreneur is really hard to do all the business if you've never done it before.
Yes. And it's so much work.
Yeah,
Like
it is.
doing all those things, and it's so much behind the scenes that people don't realize. And I feel like even just the amount of emails you're doing or calls making, and once you have, all the paperwork that was annoying to get the business set up, legally and all that stuff. Then after that, I was kind of like, well, you know what, this is going to be my thing. I need to really go for it. So I would go to networking things and small business meetings once a month. And I really I took it really seriously. It was a hobby maybe for a year. And then when people were legit ordering, I was like, all right, this is my new thing. I'm not a teacher anymore. This will be my profession, if you want to call it that,
It is. Yeah.
It is. And I still laugh though. I'm like, I'm a cookie lady. I make cookies for a living. How, I don't know. It's just kind of funny to me.
Yeah. Well, you don't never know how the path winds. And as a branding professional, I'm very call it whatever you want, because reality is nothing more than applied meaning, blah, blah, blah. Especially in sports, I'll be like, what's your age and what's your weight? And women will be like, well, I don't want to say that. And it's well, I'm looking at what you are no matter what. Right. So you can say I'm 56 and 500 pounds or 5'2", 120. And you're seeing what it is. So anyways, right. I think it's funny that the path kind of winds, and regardless of how we call it that, if you look at it, it probably fits. I mean, you loved food at one point. You are kind of teaching online essentially right now.
Right. And that was kind of one thing I added to my business is cookie classes. So I would host classes in my house and have groups of 10. I want to say, I don't think I had any men. It was all women that came to them. But yeah, that kind of became part of my business and my brand as well, custom cookies and classes.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Were you doing that? Are you doing that in the Virgin Islands now in St. Croix?
I've done a couple here.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, I really worked hard at it. And another thing, you talked about varsity people and really, giving all in something. I started reading, business books and entrepreneur, all these things, because I wanted it to be more than a hobby.
Yeah.
If I was really going for it, and I read a lot of things you can't treat it like a hobby. You have to treat it like a job if you're going to be legit. So that's what I did. And I feel like I worked really hard for a couple of years to get the word out, and work with other businesses and make partnerships and things like that. So that it was a strong, business for me.
Yeah. Do you have good words of advice for someone starting out? Because to me, the process isn't that different. If you're, slanging branding and marketing or cookies or a service or a consumer packaged good, it's all kind of the same business wise. There's certain things you have to do to get set up, and you're wearing all the hats. You're the accountant, you're the marketer, you're the baker, you're everything. Do you have good words of advice for someone that's out there? It's I didn't really know that I never even dreamed to be an entrepreneur. And then now, I have opportunity. I know I don't want the 9-to-5, which I think is most of our under 25s. There's more entrepreneurship than ever, but do you have any good words of advice for anyone starting out that maybe their hobby is going to become their business?
I'd say read books.
Yeah.
Find books about entrepreneurship and find what might be your weakness. If it's the marketing side, then do more research on marketing, reach out to somebody, get a mentor, if you will, that could help you with the things that you're not that you're not as good at, you're just not experienced. Yeah. I mean, I was a history major in college. That literally helps me zero with what I'm doing now.
We could argue what kind of history it was too, but we'll save that for another day. No. Especially coming from George Mason, which is hilarious.
So yeah, and I'm trying to think. I think the mentor is a big thing, and it's not I never paid anybody, but I reached out to somebody on social media that was doing the same thing, and it's not that she was an expert at it, but I knew she was doing the same thing, and just kind of bouncing ideas off of her and seeing what worked for her and her hearing what worked for me. And I didn't take all of it, but maybe it was one little piece that I thought, you know what, I can implement that and see how it works. So really just talking, to other people.
I agree. I think use your resources. And I love, that's a great example of how the narrative around women with women, comes, the old school is women don't want to help women, or women don't like women or whatever, but you reach out. And I think you were seeing that shift where women will help women or women will help men or whatever. But it's I think there is very much more of a mindset of abundance. And I'm not worried about this other girl that's going to do a cookie business that's like mine. There's 11 billion people in this world. Of course I'll help you. That's great. There's more than enough to go around.
Yeah. And I think another thing to add to that is when you are asking for help, you need to like show them that you are trying yourself though. Like you're working
Yeah.
hard. You're not just trying to get answers without also working hard. So I'm not contacting somebody with 50,000 questions. Like I have no idea what I'm doing. Like I want them to know I've researched this, but I'm curious as to what they think about this one thing, right? I'd be more willing to help somebody that I know is working hard rather than just like, can you give me your recipe?
100%.
Like as opposed to I've tried, mine keep doing this, is it the amount of flour you're putting in or something, like someone that they're doing their part as well to make themselves better rather than just trying to get that
something
easy.
free.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't need to pay me for it. I'm happy to help them, but I'd like to know that I'm not spending hours of my time when they could have been doing some of the work themselves.
Absolutely. Do you think that your athletic career really sets you up and teed you up to be a successful entrepreneur?
I think it definitely shaped the work ethic. Part of it, the balancing. It's funny. I actually was cleaning out my office and I had held on to a notebook from Mason. Like I don't know. I'm not a hoarder. I am like the opposite of hoarding. I throw everything away. But for some reason, I kept this notebook, probably because it had some blank pages in it I thought I could use. But I'm like a super planner to the hour. So I'm a handwritten planner person. I think I've told you, like, I just started using Google Calendar. I need to like have it written down and by the hour. So the planner that I buy every year, it is by the hour. And I have something written down in every slot. I'll write down like fold laundry because I need to see it there for that time slot so I can check it off. And I was like that in college, looking back at this, it was a blank notebook, but I would write Monday with a date, 6 to 8 a.m. running, 8:30 to 9 shower, 9 to 11:30 classes, like, and then all these things. But I was forgetting how much lacrosse we had.
Yeah. Oh, girlfriend, it's like, it's a full-time job.
Yes. And so like we were having 2 days and then I forgot we would do those individuals, with like groups of 4. And then like I'd have to work in study hall time and all this stuff. So you just really had to figure out how to balance your life. And we weren't, lacrosse wasn't technically a job, but if you think about like our lives today, that was a job that you had to balance with your social life and your family life and your classes and all that stuff. So I think it really prepared me for being able to balance my 5 children and a business and a husband.
They're nothing compared to us. What so impresses me is that you have that book, and I think you were there when, it was Robin and I, and like all the ones that were like, our head was mostly screwed on tight, but like, but we couldn't, like, if you didn't have the book, like for the meeting, the handbook, you were going to be in deep crap. And I don't know if you were there, but like a couple times, one of us didn't have it. So we'd go to Ray in our training room and we'd get one of his handbooks that looked like it. And then we'd sit in the back of the meeting and then not see the cover. Cause if you just didn't, it'd be like showing up to practice like in the wrong uniform, which also happened. But so anyways, it's funny that you have that now and we couldn't keep track of them. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think sports definitely. And that's why I'm not forcing my children to do them, but I think, and they enjoy them right now. So we're going to keep on doing them. But I think it's great, teaching them to be prepared with their stuff, make sure they have their swimming goggles for practice, where are their basketball shoes, like all those things. I think it's just great, for personal and as well as all the teamwork stuff.
For sure. Well, to learn it now, I think is critical. So like then teachers or coaches aren't teaching it. Like I, as a business professional, I love hiring my former athletes. It's night and day, and I'm open to hire it. It's equal opportunity employer over here. But when my athletes come through the door, I'm always excited because I know they get the joke. Because at 0 years old, when you're in college, you really do have to like manage a lot. And when I talk to my non-athlete friends, they're like, yeah, we drink like every night. And I was like, oh no, we had like Sundays, we went to Rhinos. And then like, other than that, we were playing lacrosse. Yeah. So that's why now after college, I was like, all right, it's party time. Who wants to do adult spring break till we're 50?
Another thing, probably, and tell me if you see this with the athletes that you have hired, being on time.
Well, I'm terrible about that usually because I'm the worst multitasker. Like I will get it done and whatever. But being on time, teamwork, like working with other people. I've noticed like if we're in like a group event, I don't have to micromanage, like go meet people, go, like they're always extroverted, like there's skills there.
Right. Yeah, the being on time thing, that started for me with my high school coach. Like if
Okay.
you weren't 10 minutes early, you were late.
Yeah.
And it was my freshman year, I remember, and we were had to be, at the bus at 4 o'clock to get to a game. And I went with some of the older girls to get like a Subway sub because that was the cool thing to do. And we got to the bus at like 3:55, and she was like, "None of you are starting." And it kind of blew my mind because in my head, well, 4 o'clock, that's when you said to be here. But that kind of like set the tone, I think, for my athletics and my life until I moved here, where now everyone's on island time and I'm having to like shift things, and like someone sends out an invite for 6 o'clock for like, happy hour, and we're there right at 6, and everyone else is like, no, like
Yeah.
7.
Don't be the first one at a party. Like, come on, you can't ever be that human. That's I've done a ton of like little parties here. When someone comes like at the time, I'm like, don't, I'm still setting up. Like, how this works. Don't be the first. How are you like personality wise? If you're not doing your laundry in the time slot, like what happens when the schedule goes awry?
So I've got little arrows that will, take it to a different time slot. Certain things will be bubbled and circled.
Oh my
if I
God.
didn't get to it one day, it gets bounced over to the other. I have to operate that way, or nothing would get done. Or I think I would just like sit on my phone and scroll all day if I didn't have a list of things. And I think I'm competitive, and so I'm competing with myself. So if I have a list of 10 things, like I'm working hard to check those off.
I love it.
That's just, yeah.
Well, I think it's about finding your flow and like knowing your personality. Have you done any like core value testing or like intuitives or religion or like any of that stuff for like deeper inner self understanding?
I did, and now why am I blanking on it? Oh, the Enneagram.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'm a 1.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, and I think that one of my friends is really into it, and I took the test and I like read up on it a little bit, but then I stopped. She's really into it, and she was surprised I was a 1.
I don't know the background. Like most of my friends I think are like 7s or 8s or 9s.
Okay.
But I don't think I know a lot of 1s though. What is a 1? Like tell us about it.
I don't remember. I really don't remember. I think one of them
meaningful.
was like loyal. I just did it because it was on my list of things to do to take the test. And I wanted to check it off. I don't remember. I think it's something about like working hard and like fairness is important, because I do think that like if you work your butt off, like you should get rewarded for that versus somebody that just asks someone else for the answer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll do more research, and then let's do a whole Enneagram.
Let's do. Well, I like it because I'm super into that stuff. Like I like the intuitives. I'm not the most religious person, but I believe in higher, larger order. But I like tell me all the intel, and like some of the stuff I found, like my top core values were honesty, independence, obviously, and then creativity. And when I got that, I was like, creativity. Then I'm like, of course, like I love printing shirts and do whatever. I did this myself. So it's just stuff that you don't really like see, but like I was curious maybe if like creativity or like baking or something like that was in there, because kind of like your journey, like you kind of have to go with the path, because there's things that unfold as you get older that you didn't realize you really cared about or were passionate about. But I do think sometimes larger order looks out and like winds you in those directions, even though you had no plan or a minute by minute agenda to get there.
Yeah, and I definitely never had a plan of owning a business. That was never, growing up, I thought I'd be a teacher and have the summers off and raise my kids, which I, am doing, but not the teaching part. But yeah, I never thought I would be a creative or an entrepreneur. So it's kind of cool how that made its way.
Yeah. Why? I hope more people check out your journey. And this was kind of outside of a great excuse to hang out with a longtime friend, to you to really like share this story, because it's so amazing. One, we never know what's next, but in this day and age, there's so much opportunity to do your own thing and have control of your own life and be able to stay home with your kids. Or maybe you don't have kids, you have dogs, and you want to go hike on a Wednesday at 9 a.m. Or everything is kind of shifting to the majority of people taking their future and their destiny into their own hands. And entrepreneurship is such a magical thing. And you don't have to be like this predetermined entrepreneur and know all the things. Like you can just show up with your passion and figure it out.
Yeah, totally agree.
Do you do anything on YouTube at all?
I don't. I think I maybe posted like a cookie video years ago, and then I was like, this is too much.
Yeah.
But I probably should have.
Well, it's one more thing, and it's like cringe. Like I'm trying to do TikTok and YouTube, and it's like, okay, I'm here for, there is such a positive side to social media. But the other side, I'm like, get in, get out, like it's business to me. But YouTube, I will say, and I don't know why I feel compelled to tell you this because I'm not like a YouTube slanger or really any social media thing, but the shorts are taking off right now. And I actually think I'm going to do a whole podcast about it because it's going everywhere. I think I have more views on my page in India than I do in America, which is really cool, to cultivate larger conversation, expand your audience, whatever. But the shorts are kicking up and it's such an amazing opportunity to teach. And I feel like there's going to be some big through line with you bringing your teaching and athletic and like the core values about being on time and learning like these life skills through maybe cookie baking or whatever. And then like teaching, like, I think it's such a cool way to get in front of kids that are now like homeschooled because there's more homeschool kids than before, to some sort of like teaching and stuff. So I don't know. I just see that for some being some kind of major through line, to get on there and do what you're doing anyways.
Yeah. Well, maybe I can have my 10 and 11-year-old help me because they're always talking about shorts.
Oh, yes. I'm
I
serious.
just don't, and it goes back to like the entrepreneur business owner doing everything. Like, why, like and part of it probably just because I'm not outsourcing this and I don't know. My business is kind of where I'm comfortable being at this stage in life with young kids and everything. But like I'm when Reels first started and I was spending hours figuring out Reels, like, this is so dumb. Like, this is so dumb. Why am I spending time on this? But, it works and it's free, for your business. So yeah, YouTube was just kind of another thing I guess I could.
Well, no pressure of mine. Just put it into universe. I think like most things, opportunity will come when it needs to. It's just so much less work. Like shorts, I will take my page has grown. This is going to turn into a YouTube ad and they're not paying me. So that's a problem. But my shorts have literally, I had, I don't even know, like 70 subscribers and it's over 1,000 now, primarily because of dog videos. So it's stuff I have on my phone anyways, because I'm here for my dogs.
Right.
And I uploaded one day and it was like 10,000 views. Like I threw a song on it. And it's for me because the social media to me is like a time capsule where I can put video and I can go on there and see things. And I like that, but people love dogs. And so here I am, like, let's talk about social and racial justice. And it's like, yay, but Cleo's climbing a hill. Let's watch 55,000 views of that. So I know. So it's real because like I'm videoing it. So anyways, my long-winded point is if you're out there and you have something you're passionate about, shorts right now is such an amazing way to connect. So maybe the content you're already doing, maybe just pass it over there. But the YouTube University, like the teaching and everything, I think is just so magical and such a great way to bring your skill set to the table and teach other people. So that's my bit on that. We're not slinging YouTube anymore. But it's grown off like way less effort than the intention that I do on my reels or the TikTok videos or anything. It's kind of crazy. So there's my tidrip of glitter for YouTube, and that's it. But I think it's great. So, and you already utilize YouTube a lot for your learnings, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I use it. I'm always searching for things, researching whether it's like a workout video, right? Like a 10-minute workout video or a different technique for something, or Googling how to do certain things on Reels, like, through YouTube. You can find anything there. It's amazing.
I love it. How was the transition going from, so the business is in St. Croix, but she also has headquarters in Virginia, but how was it going from Virginia to St. Croix? Like, tell me about sourcing ingredients, baking, the temperature, all of it.
Yeah, luckily it was pretty smooth.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't had to change anything as far as ingredients, or, I mean, I had to get used to my oven, but that's if you changed houses anywhere, you have to get used to your oven. But yeah, so I still have a kitchen in Virginia that my sister took over. So when I figured, I hired her on after I had my last one. So it kind of the business got bigger than what I could handle at that point in my life. And she had a little one at home, and I thought, this is great. Both of us, I'll pay her to bake the cookies and she'll do it at my house. She can bring my niece over, and then I get to see my niece and all that stuff. It worked great. And then when we were moving, I'm just such a people pleaser. And I was like, oh my gosh, all these clients that I've had for like 5 years, and it's, they're repeats. So I did their kids, or I did the baby shower, and then I did, their first birthday, and then they're turning like 3. And I don't know, I just have such a personal connection to all these, the business and the people I've met along the way. And I felt like I was letting people down, which I don't know, maybe it was a silly feeling, again, because it's cookies. It's not like I'm their doctor or things like that. But so I asked my sister, would you want to take over? Like, this could be a good side hustle for you. And obviously easy because all my clients, they'll just go to you. So I gave her a quick, it was like a 2-month crash course, real quick. Luckily, she was always there at my house, anyways, and she's a quick learner and has done amazing with it. So I still do all the communication for it. And I think part of it, maybe not that I'm a control freak, but I love that connection with those people, and so I didn't want to just hand off everything. And I think she was happy to just do what I told her to do, as far as make these types of cookies, have them ready on these days, while I still was kind of the face of the business, So that kind of stayed in Virginia. And then coming down here, I just did what I did in Virginia. I went to networking things, and I would take logo cookies to businesses and say, look, I can do this. Lucky for me, there was no one else on the island doing it. So I've got this market cornered. So people were excited about it, and it took a couple months to kind of get things going, but all it took was one person that was really happy, and then she told all her friends, and then
key community influencer.
Yeah. So, but again, I worked hard at the beginning, getting the word out there and having to, make connections again in this new community where we moved here knowing not a single person.
Wow. Who was the first person you met?
First person we met. So this is a interesting story. And I feel like this is, again, goes to the doing your research. If you're moving or anything really, one of the Facebook groups, it was a parenting group. And one of the moms had written back to me after I said, have any advice? And she was like, I've been here for maybe 8 years. I've got 3 boys. Call me right now. And so I called her, and she was great. We had like an hour-long phone conversation. And then we rented a house when we first moved down for a month. And she lived in that neighborhood, and she was running by, and she stopped, and she's, one of my best friends here. So just making that connection. And since we do have the 5 kids, we met, other families really fast through the school. And again, like I said before, just because not many people have family here, your community becomes your family real fast. So it just, they also helped quick friends help spread the word about the business as well. So
I love it. It's literally influencer marketing. You find one that will spread your gospel, but it's really beautiful because it's like authentic, genuine endorsement. It's not a targeted ad. It's not like a banner you put on a wall. It's like a genuine endorsement from someone that's a genuine fan. It's really powerful.
Right. And I do remember when I first moved down, I forget, let's see. So if we moved down in January, Valentine's Day would be the big cookie holiday that was next. And one of my friends said, post it in the parents' Facebook page. And I'm just not, that's not me. I'm not a salesman. I'm not pushing it in your face. And I was like, no, I don't feel comfortable doing that. She's like, well, I'll post it for you. So she posted that,
even better.
There was going to be her friend was doing this cookie sale. And you don't, you just kind of need a couple people to be on your side. And, not that she was fighting for me, but she was really endorsing, my product and me as a person too.
Well, that's what it is. And it's not to be minimized about how you are a part of somebody's life. Like it might be a cookie, it might be a swim lesson, it might be these things. But in our lives, we don't have that much personal connect to people anymore because of social media or whatever. We're a disconnected society. So these little things you remember as a young person, or like my cookies, or I always had the same cake as I grew up, or they're really big deal. So I don't think it's to be minimized when you're like, I care so much about my people, or I was afraid about disappointing them, leaving them, because it's probably a bigger piece of their life than you even know. And to welcome them into their first child's first birthday, and these are really big moments in people's lives. So to be a part of that is a big deal. And I work with brands, whether it's Nike or whatever, or we won't name drop and be that person, but we always try and help them humanize the brand. We're not this disconnected situation anymore. We want influencers that are going to be in it for a long-term, mutually beneficial situation. And we want to tell the owner's story, because people care about people. The cookies might be great, but I bet you at this point, they're more showing up for Alex than they are the cookies, or your story, or we want to support a mom of 5. That's where we are in this society. And it's a really cool thing to see. And I think if you're an entrepreneur listening, when you do care like that authentically, that's when your business is successful. Would you kind of agree with that?
Yes, I totally agree. And going towards the social media and, the things that I wasn't comfortable doing at first when Instagram rolled out their stories, right? I remember thinking like, oh gosh, this is like gross. I don't want to like post little things. Like, who cares what I'm doing right now? That is like the biggest thing. I will be out and someone will be like, oh my gosh, you don't really know me, but I feel like I know Hunter. Like, he was the star of the show for 2 years while the rest were in school, and he was home with me. And I find that too when I'm like, following certain people. I love their stories. I want to see their face and, what they're doing and what kind of person they are, because I want to support. And I know some people are a different person.
Yeah.
On social media. I feel like I'm pretty true to myself when I put on there, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But yeah, you want to feel connected to them and their product, and it means so much more.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, I'm okay with it because I'm like you. I love what I do. I'm into it, but I don't necessarily like to be in the mix of it at all times. And I'm sure it appears a different way. But if you can kind of reverse the thinking and know that there's a lot of people that aren't doing things the right way and they don't care and they're just doing it for the attention or whatever. So if you can kind of step in and like disrupt the noise and show, because everything you're doing is authentic. You love the business, you love your kiddos, even if it's you making a sandcastle. I think just the authenticity and realness, if you can embrace that and be like, well, at least I'd rather me be doing that than maybe someone looking at Kim Kardashian's new butt lift or whatever. Like, if I can step into that space, then okay, if you want to watch me lift weight, you're at the right spot. Like, we will do this. And you kind of just like let it be. So I don't know. I hear you on that narrative. I think most entrepreneurs do not want to be the face of the brand on social media.
Yes,
but now you do.
That's fair.
I feel like you've done a really good job with like the videos and everything. You were intentional about doing all that, right?
That, I mean, definitely. Once it kind of was known that you're getting more views with videos, I really cranked those up, and I really don't care about the number of followers. Like I said, my business, I am happy where it is. I'm not doing like paid thing. I'm not endorsing brands for these big partnerships on Instagram. So I don't really look into, and I know a lot of people are into that, for their business. For me, I just don't care as much. So I do it for fun, and I do it for views too. But it's kind of just, it was one of those learning processes at the beginning of, how do I navigate this social media, and do I really care? How much effort do I want to put into it?
Well, I think that's fair. And if you keep the balanced approach, I think is the critical one. I try and get in and get off, but I think that's what's so beautiful about podcasting is like, you might not want to share a story, but we can come on now, have this conversation, and people can connect with you and understand, taking a leap in life, having 5 kids, or maybe life not turning out the way we planned it, even though we plan every day. So I think there's so many things to see that we can connect on some level and have like a more in-depth conversation on stuff, and people can be like, oh my God, Alex is so cool. And like, that's really cool that she does this, or, whatever. Like it's cool that she researches for her business and stuff. Like, I didn't really know you were that much of a researcher, or that like
maybe that's my history background, right?
I didn't even know you were a history major. That's hilarious.
Major, yeah. And then a political science minor.
Oh, interesting, man. You were checking all the boxes that 2020 could have been really aggressive with. You went to the right direction. Go with the cookies. Get off the mainland. That's amazing. All right. Well, I want to be sensitive of time. We could go on here. We won't tell college stories because we both want our businesses to continue to thrive. Yes. But where do we find you? Give us hashtags, websites, whatever.
Okay. Instagram is like my go-to, since I'm not really on YouTube yet, but I might be in the near future. So I'm just at the Cookie Mom. So MOM at the Cookie Momster Kitchen. That's my Instagram. And I don't even have a website.
A lot of businesses don't.
I'm like, 8 or 9 years into this, and I have a Google form. Like, that's what people use to order, and it works wonderfully. So why change it, right?
Yeah.
But I don't ship, so I'm not, no one needs to find me for cookie purposes. But if you want, some cookie content or island life content or motherhood content, you can find me there.
Yeah, go look at the island is absolutely stunning. But again, if you're kind of in something where you've always done something, you're looking to get uncomfortable and make a shift in life. Maybe it's not a big move, but it's you're stepping into a new job, or maybe you want to have your first child or your fifth child, or maybe you just want to get divorced or make any whatever kind of leap it is. I think Alex is a really good example of making a massive leap and then finding a way to work. But I also think another through line of your story is you kind of create your processes, and then you can, when they're successful, you can do those same processes in a different situation, like the schedule, then you transfer it to St. Croix, and the business. Like there's so many things, you find something that works and then you kind of implement in a whole new zone. You don't have to recreate the wheel.
Right. And it doesn't need to be the same for everybody. There's plenty of people that would say, no, don't research, just go do it. Like,
That would be me.
Leave your job. You're not happy, go do it. There's others of us that would be like, I want to do it, but I'm going to research everything. So everyone, it's going to look different for everybody. So don't stress, over how someone else is doing it or they went through it. Like whatever works for you, let it work.
Yeah. Just be open-minded to it, because it might be the best move you've ever made.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, maybe we'll check in 6 months when you're a famous YouTuber and you've got this super international business, like in an actual international country. But check out Alex's videos. Even if you're not into cookies, go watch the Instagram, because I'm telling you, they're mesmerizing. You'll watch one and then you'll like an hour will pass by and you realize you've watched like an entire holiday calendar year of cookies that were made. But go check her out. Alex, thank you for the time and energy.
You're welcome. This has been great.
Yeah, I'm going to come down there before you guys move. Mark my word.
I know. Yes, you have to, because you got a friend that's down here too.
Yeah. Shout out to Jen K.
Yeah.
She's out there. You guys connected too, right? I'm not making that up.
Yeah, we have.
See, so I've got a bunch of crew down there. But until then, check us out. This will be on YouTube if you want to watch that. Yeah. So I'll sucker you in. But go check her out and we'll connect again soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining Turmeric and Tequila with your host, Kristen Olson. Tune in next time, and don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.